Hey, it's K-Book. Hi, how are you guys doing? Today, as you can probably see, I'm gonna let you know why I personally identify as bisexual and why I mostly always have. I think there was like a few months where I might have been going by something else, but I'll kind of let you know what's happening and why I decided to talk about it today. I started identifying as bisexual, I think around 13 or 14. That's when I really solidified it and understood that that is what I was feeling and how I guess how I would react to other people. Like I actually kind of realized what it was. I'll have another video where I talk about growing up as bisexual before I realized it and also then after I realized it, because it was weird. I didn't understand in my childhood what was happening, so I thought I was kind of alone. I didn't know until I was older that it was something that a lot of other people were going through. But recently I've seen a lot of talk about bisexual versus pansexual and what bisexual means. So I kind of just want to throw in my 2 cents as someone who has kind of gone down that rabbit hole of why I identify as bisexual. So yeah, let's talk about it. I remember when I first came out as bisexual, or like knew that I was, I never really came out to anyone. All the people around me kind of already knew that I also liked girls, because again, like I just kind of said stuff like that, not really realizing that straight girls don't always feel that way, feel the things that I was feeling about other girls. So a lot of people knew. The only people I ever really had to kind of tell was my mom. She was really weird about it. But I've posted stuff on my Facebook that says that I'm bisexual, or this is how it feels growing up bisexual. So I think she's kind of come to accept that. Last time I saw her, she was talking to me about telling someone that her daughter was bisexual, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. A lot of my friends were also gay. We didn't realize it at the time. As we grew up together, we did realize that we had flocked together before even realizing it. I grew up on Tumblr, and I remember in high school, at least, like I had been identifying as bisexual up until probably sophomore year, and then I was kind of like on Tumblr, I was learning more about pansexuality, and I was like, when I think about a person I would date anyone. He, she, they, like, no matter how they identified, like, that doesn't sway me. That doesn't make me feel any type of way. It's really about the person. And then when I think sexually, when I'm sexually attracted to someone, that also, for me, because I'm bisexual, it can go either way. No matter which genitalia you have, I am okay with that. And then also, no matter how you identify as a person, that is still okay for me sexually. That wouldn't turn me off sexually. So I was like, that kind of sounds like pansexual. You know, you're attracted to every type of person. Not every person, just any type of person. Again, no matter your gender identity or your sexual genitalia. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I kind of identified as pan for a little bit, but then I was like, I realized once I had said that to some people, even people in my generation, they did not understand what that meant. They were like, what is that? So I had to explain. I had to do a lot of explaining. And I didn't like that. It was kind of easy to just be like, I'm bisexual, and they're like, oh, cool. Then my peers around me and my friends started talking more about your romantic attraction versus your sexual attraction. So I know, like, one of my friends, I think, was a romantic. Basically, they didn't want a romantic relationship, like a romantic relationship with anyone, no matter your gender. But then they were bisexual because, again, they liked both genitalia and would want to do sexual activity with both genitalia. I was like, okay, this kind of makes more sense for me because I identified as pan-romantic and bisexual. Because, again, romantically, I don't care. I don't care what you identify as. Bisexuality to me is what genitalia I'm attracted to, which is bi two. We have two genitalia. I am comfortable with both of these sets of genitalia. It does not have anything to do with your gender, because bisexual, like, the sexual part is about your sex. So I don't mind your gender identity. If you identify as a male, if you identify as female, if you are a trans person, if you identify as they or some other type of gender queer, I don't mind that. That doesn't affect my sexuality. But for me, I can deal with both sets of genitalia, where someone who is straight would only like one set, and someone who is gay would only like one set, being like the same set, versus a straight person liking the opposite set of genitalia. And that's how I've always understood sexuality. And then someone who is asexual, in theory, doesn't want any sex. They don't really like genitalia, but I know now that there are also different levels of asexuality where it can be more like, and I think this might have its own term, but you can not be sexually attracted to someone until you're more romantically involved with them and until you know them better, which does make sense. But then my question for asexuals would be like, are you then also some type of straight or bisexual? Like, is there a gender identity or a type of genitalia that you would never feel comfortable with, even if you got close to them? That's a question. You comment down below. I haven't done any of that research. I'm sure I could Google that question and get a ton of answers. But it's just interesting. I kind of usually think of sexuality as straight, bi, and gay, just based on our sexual genitalia, and I kind of stick by that because I don't think it's important to, I don't know if it's because I'm pan-romantic, but I don't think it's important to focus on someone's gender identity, especially when we're talking about sexual things. I live by an airport, and it sounded wild out there, but anyway, I just don't understand the point in that. I guess you could be someone who's bisexual but only wants to date men. But that's when, again, I personally think it would make the most sense to have a romantic category and then a sexual category, because I think it's different, and I don't know if it's just me and the way I am, but if you come up to me and say, hi, I'm a guy or a girl or they, that doesn't matter to me, because I know that I know that sexually I can be attracted to you with whatever pronouns you have. And then I also know that sexually, whatever is in your pants, I would be able to be okay with that because I like both sets of genitalia. So if you identify as pansexual, I want you to let me know down below, why do you choose that term? Do you choose it to tell others that whatever their gender identity is, you're okay with that? Do you mean both? Like, what, whatever you have that's cool. I want to know how other people understand sexuality because I know the definition of bisexual is this. And that's the hard part. It's probably going to say attracted to two genders, but I'm attracted to two sexes because we have two sexes. And I'm bisexual. Like, this is Wiktionary.com. So not Wikipedia, but it definitely looks like Wikipedia. It's definitely a subset of Wikipedia. Attracted to both sexes. Sexes, and then goes on to say multiple or any genders. This video is not that necessary, but I have just seen a lot of discourse about it, and I know that some bisexual people can feel erasure from feeling like they either have to be straight, they have to be gay, or maybe they have to identify as pansexual when really they're just bisexual. We love both. Normally, if I'm telling someone that I am bisexual, it's important for them to understand that I like both sets of genitalia. When I am talking to my friends and I see a girl walk by and I'm like, oh my god, like, she is so beautiful but also so hot, and then they're like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, yes, but also I'm bisexual, and they're like, oh yeah, because they need to understand that I'm not just saying that just as a compliment. Of course it is, of course this person is probably beautiful, but again, I have to differentiate. I don't mean that just as a girl supporting another girl. I mean that in the way that I am sexually aroused by that woman. It doesn't have to be full like arousal, but that I do feel this sexual connotation towards this person. But that's the thing. Sometimes I do look at a girl or a guy and I say, oh my god, they're cute or they look cute. That can just be a compliment, but that can also be an indication that it's a little more than that. And it's harder for people to understand without the context that I'm bisexual. So I think that's important. But again, that context is really only important when I'm talking about someone in that sense of liking them on that level, or if I'm communicating with someone that I would like to interact with sexually. I think it's important for them to know I'm bisexual. When I speak with trans people, I have dated trans people before, it's important for me to let them know that I'm bisexual, because that shows like it doesn't matter what's in your pants. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm not going to question that, because whatever is in there I am comfortable with if we ever get to that point, and that will not affect me. So we don't have to have that big conversation of anything. If you're FTM or MTF, either way, I'm DTF. I'm kidding, that's a joke. Either way, I am understanding and can be compatible with that person, if that makes sense. And it's not about their gender. It's not about who they want to identify as, because I don't mind. I will probably always identify this way. Yeah, it just makes the most sense to me. Again, it's kind of just the easiest when having conversations with people. I'm very open about it. I don't mind talking about it. openly at work or with other people, with new people, with strangers, because it's part of who I am, and it's in certain contexts, right? I'm not blurting it out to anybody, but in certain contexts, when it's appropriate, that's just what I'm gonna say. And if you're bisexual too, don't feel bad. Don't feel weird about it. You identify how you want to identify, and that does not have to exclude people, because my bisexual identity does not exclude anyone. That specific identity does not exclude anyone from my dating pool. So if you know someone who identifies as bisexual, or if you feel as though people who identify as bisexual might not like you because they only identify as bisexual and not anything further like pansexual, please just have a conversation with them. Ask them what they like, what they're into. If you're really that interested, ask them what they mean, what they understand bisexuality to mean, what it means to them, because this is life. Everyone interprets things differently. We're humans. No matter how many definitions I look up, no matter how many people tell me I'm pansexual because I like every gender, the way I understand the word and the world and the way I understand me, I'm bisexual. That's it. That's really all for me. That's just why I personally identify as bisexual as opposed to pansexual or any other type of sexuality out there. I hope you liked it. If you want to learn more about me, bisexuality, what it's like growing up as a bisexual without knowing it or with knowing it, or I have a lot of other lifestyle content that I'll be doing. I recently did a video where I showed you guys how I take care of my plants. So if you want to see that, go check it out. Thank you if you got this far, if you watched all the way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you being here and even checking it out. Leave me a blue, pink, and purple heart emoji. Honestly, any of them in the comments if you got to this part. Thank you so much. Leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.